So I basically wanted to talk about bright lines today. And I don't know if anybody has ever heard that term before, but I think it's a term that I had never heard before and has become really an asset in my life. So life comes in peaks of joy and happiness and valleys of fear and, in some cases, heartache. Life is like a roller coaster ride, and each rise and fall defines our journey. We all have life challenges, and we all know that, of course, I have had my share in the last few years. But today, I want to talk about a lifelong struggle that I have lived with since I was very, very young. Oh, where did we go here? So really in the midst of, those up and down cycles that we all have, and of course with what's going on right now, I think there's a lot of this going on, the fear, the anxiety, the worry. And it really is the way we look at life and the way we move through life. But we all go through these ups and downs in our lifetime. Maybe you with some kind of, might have some kind of change that you want to make. It could be to, stop smoking, stop drinking, gossiping, start an exercise program, start eating healthier, make more sales calls. And there are so many areas in our lives, and for each of us, we struggle in different ones. So as I talk about what I discovered on my journey, you might be able to apply some of this towards something that you can start or stop doing. So let's start at the beginning. Here I am, age 2. And then here I am at age 3.5. And as you can see, I was a little chunk, to say the least. Weight loss has always been a life challenge for me. I have been on the roller coaster of weight loss for most of my 67 years. And I have been up and down the roller coaster way too many times. Last August, around my birthday, I came to the point in my life that I was starting to get very concerned about my health. I was really struggling, and I happened to read an article that piqued my interest. After more research and learning more about it, I found a way to slow down that roller coaster so that I could get off. Not knowing at the time, the program I found would be the easiest thing I've ever done regarding my weight. And I truly mean the easiest. So I want to talk about bright line eating. Bright line eating is the plan I went on, but it's not really what I want to share in the program today. But basically, bright line eating, it's a science around food and how it affects our brain. And there are basically 4 bright lines: no sugar, no flour, 3 meals a day, and you either weigh or measure your food. And again, it's really not about the program I'm on, but I really want to talk about is what I discovered along this process of implementing the program, and why I feel like it was working for me. So when we think about the lines in a road, they're there to keep us alive, right? We must stay on the right side of the road and not cross over. There's no, I'll drive on the left right now and I'll drive on the right later, or I'll straddle the line, because when we do, it could be very dangerous for us or even fatal. And that's basically where I was basically most of my life with my weight challenges, is I was straddling the line, or I was on some really, maybe on the left side a little bit too much. And when the road gets curvy or it's nighttime, it's even more important for us to follow the bright lines. And the bright lines really made it easy for me. They were not gray lines. Either it was food that I could eat or food I could not eat. No straddling the lines. I can't go to the left today and then do it differently tomorrow. I had to learn that I had to make sure I was staying within the lines. So in my case, I used a mantra, NMF, which is not my food, when I thought about crossing the lines. So I use this mantra. I still use it. I use it daily usually, especially when I'm watching TV and that food comes up and, you know, it's always so tempting and looking so good. And I just say to myself, that's not my food. And it really has helped along the way. So just like the line in the road, I have to make sure I stay on the right side. So even though Bright Lines is the foundation of my weight journey, I think there are some really other essential pieces that have added to my success. And I really wanted to think about, why is this so different than it's ever been for me before? Of course, it always starts with a mental decision to do something differently, no matter what it is. You know, Mary talked about kind of habits, but in this case, it was thinking differently due to some newfound information I found regarding food and the brain, and that my weight problem was not all caused by food, or me overeating, I should say. So learning about where I was on the food susceptibility scale when it came to my brain and the food I was eating made a huge shift for me. So I realized that first I had to make the decision, but that decision was really, the reason why it was different is because I was more informed. I was more educated than I'd ever been before. The second step was, once again in my life, what I've had to been learned, that I've learned really truly in the last 5 years, is taking one day at a time and do my best for that day and that day only. And that's what really helped me in this process. It was not about where I wanted to go, where I felt like my goal was, or just that I can't eat this or I can't. It's just about today. What can I do today? And I just had to embrace and learn that it truly does matter what I do today. And I'm not worrying about tomorrow. I'm not worrying about next week. So in the case, I found that it was really not about me losing weight. It's just, what was I focusing on that I needed to do today? In the book that I read, I also want to talk about a story that she talks about. The Bright Line Eating is by Susan Pierce Thompson, but she also had a drug addiction and alcohol addiction, and she was in an AA meeting, and this grumpy old man would get up every day and he'd say, you know, I'm an alcoholic and, you know, I'm not going to have a drink today. Now, I might drink tomorrow, but I'm not going to drink today. And she thought, why is he sabotaging himself? And she soon realized that it really doesn't matter about tomorrow. We're not thinking about tomorrow. Is what can you do today to make whatever you want to happen, happen? So that's number 2. Then number 3, when making change, we tend to have a false picture of how success happens. And I think this was probably one of the crucial, is one of the crucial pieces also, because we often see only the results. And almost never do we look at the process involved to achieve that result. And when we tend to think that the finished product is brilliant, in fact, it's likely the opposite. Success is in the learning process of the process. In the learning and the lessons in the process, sorry. So number 3 was I had to ask for help. So I read the book. I really got involved in the community for Bright Line Eating. And it had proven to me that if we don't get support we need, and we ask for support a lot of times, especially in our business, but we don't use it. we ask for it, we ask everybody, but if they don't tell us the answers that we want, we tend to discard it. So what happens is other things will show up, like lack of self-confidence, fear, maybe shame or depression. Maybe the worst thing, and that's us not showing up to the world for who we really are, like Kara talked about being authentic. And one of the biggest missing pieces to truly make changes in our lives and in our business is accountability. And you know, I've talked about accountability in some of my presentations before, but this piece is what keeps us where we are, or it takes us where we want to go. When we're trying to do things differently, but we just can't seem to move the needle far enough, or we just can't seem to make it happen, it's time to look at support and accountability, because they can make the difference. So accountability, the things we do, but it's also the things that we don't do. And it is a scientifically sustained fact that support and accountability keeps us motivated and really living and working towards our goals. So who can help us? Someone who has been there where we want to go. That's a great person to look for in an accountability partner. They will test you. Accountability partner will challenge you, and they also will be your cheerleader along the way. So even though, you know, there are many people that can be your accountability partner, a friend, a family member, mentor, staff, mastermind group, accountability group, a coach, business or life. And even as a coach myself, I have coaches and mentors and mastermind groups and accountability groups. My daughter, a lot of you know Tammy, and she is my biggest cheerleader. My mentors help me think through the ideas and my thoughts. My coaches, I have a business coach who guides me and keeps me on track and accountable for my business. And then I have a coach for personal mindset. My mastermind groups, of course, one of my best groups is a group of E4E members, and it's a group of colleagues that give me feedback. And the biggest thing they do is challenge me to think differently. And then they support me. And then I'm also in another mastermind group where all the women are, it's all women and they're all business owners. And it's a teaching learning environment and also learning experience for helping us to grow our businesses. And then I'm also in an accountability group that keeps me focused and moving towards a project that I'm working on. So regarding my Bright Line Eating, I have referred to others that have already been there. There are plenty of support out there for me to continue, but my biggest thing is continuing my education and knowing that I have the support in this process. So my question to you is, do you have others that support you, especially when you're trying to make that big, huge shift in your business and your personal life? What about the challenges and struggles that you might be facing that you do think, you know, I'd really like to change that? It's really about who supports you, who is going to help you along the way, because we as E4E participants really know it's not about flying alone. It's about flying together and having that help. So first is the mental decision, right? And that shift for me came with a lot of education. And then I created my Bright Line. So when you're trying to, what can be those bright lines for you about not crossing the line? Because it's too easy for us to say, well, I'll do it today, but you know, I'll go this way today, but tomorrow I'll get on track. But we really need to set bright lines so that we constantly don't cross those lines. And 3, you know, take every minute, every hour, and every day at a time. Don't, in case for me, for weight loss, it's not about where I'm going or where I'm going to end up. It's about what am I doing today to make my life better. And then for the support and the accountabilities. So I really feel like those are the keys to change. And in July of 2019, the picture on the left, and then currently that picture was taken in March, so it's 2 months later, but I'm currently down 75 pounds. I don't believe I have this weight thing kicked in any way, but I have continued my bright lines one day at a time with all the support that I have.